So you're about to kick off a construction project. It's kind of like planning a huge expedition, right? You know where you want to end up, but the most important decision you're going to make is how you're going to get there. That how is what we call a procurement strategy. And trust me, getting it right from the very start is absolutely critical. So let's unpack what that really means for you.
Here's the game plan. We're going to start with some core concepts, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Then we'll walk through the 3 main ways you can go about procuring a project. And finally, we'll pull it all together so you can figure out which strategy is the perfect fit for you.
Okay, first things first. Before we can even think about the different paths you can take, we have got to clear up one of the most common mix-ups in the entire industry.
You know, people use procurement and tendering like they're the same thing all the time, but they are not even close. Procurement is the big picture. It's your entire game plan for how you're going to get this thing built, balancing time, quality, cost, and crucially, risk. Tendering, that's just one step inside that bigger strategy. It's the bidding process where you actually pick your contractor. So think of it like this. Tendering helps you pick who builds it, but procurement defines how the whole shebang comes together.
All right, let's look at our first path. This is probably the one you've heard of the most. It's the tried and true traditional route. And people love it because it offers a ton of certainty and control.
The idea here is really simple. You design everything first, and then you build it. It's sequential. The client gets an architect and some engineers. They draw up a complete, super detailed design. And only when that's 100% done do they go out and find a contractor who says, yep, I can build that for a fixed price.
And here's the classic trade-off. The huge advantage is that you know what it's going to cost and how long it's going to take before a single shovel hits the ground. But what's the catch? Well, you have to spend a lot of time and money getting that design absolutely perfect before you can even ask for a price. Now, understanding who owns the risk is, well, it's everything. In this model, the lines are crystal clear. The client is on the hook for the design. The contractor, they are only responsible for building what's on the drawings. So if that design has a flaw, that risk and the cost to fix it sits squarely with the client. Okay, let's move on to our next option, which basically flips that traditional model on its head. This is the design and build route, and it was created to make things simpler and give the client just one point of contact for the whole project.
With design and build, or D&B as you'll hear it called, the client doesn't go out and hire a separate design team. Nope. Instead, they hire one contractor who takes responsibility for, well, everything. They design it and they build it, all under one roof for one fixed price.
And you can really see what I mean on this slide. It totally simplifies the whole contractual mess. See how the client, the employer, has just one single line to the design-build contractor, and then that contractor manages everybody else. For the client, it means if there's a problem with anything, design or construction, there's only one person they need to call. Simple as that.
So here's the big switch. Remember that design risk we were just talking about? With D&B, it gets transferred from the client over to the contractor. If something's wrong with the design, it's the contractor's problem to solve. But, and this is a big but, that peace of mind isn't free. Clients usually pay a bit more for the contractor to take on that extra risk.
Our third category here covers 2 strategies that are pretty similar, and they are all about one thing: speed. We're talking about management-led routes. This is where you bring in a construction expert right at the beginning to manage the whole process, even while the design is still taking shape.
First up is construction management. In this setup, the client hires a construction manager, basically as an expert advisor, for a fee. But the really important part here is that the client is the one who signs separate contracts directly with every single trade. The plumbers, the electricians, the concrete guys, you name it. This diagram shows it perfectly. Just look at the employer up top. They are literally at the center of this spider web of contracts, with the designers and with every single trade contractor. The construction manager is there to coordinate it all, but the client holds all those relationships. It gives you maximum control, but man, it's a lot to manage.
So because the client is holding all those contracts, they're also holding a ton of risk. Now this route is great for flexibility and getting a super fast start, but the trade-off is a big one. You will not know the final price tag for your project until the very last contract is signed. That can be a pretty nerve-wracking place to be.
Now, let's look at its close cousin: management contracting. It sounds almost the same, right? But there's one critical difference. This time, the client hires a management contractor who then goes and hires all the trade contractors directly. And this diagram makes that difference so clear. Remember that spiderweb we just saw? Now look at this. The client has one main contract with the management contractor, and that's it. That contractor then handles all the subcontracts. From an admin point of view, this is a whole lot cleaner for the client.
So, just like before, the client is still holding the bag on the final cost risk. But because they aren't personally managing dozens of different contracts, their administrative headache is way, way smaller. You still get the speed and flexibility, but with a lot less paperwork.
Okay, we've walked through the 4 main paths, so now let's pull it all together. Once you really get the key trade-offs, you'll be in a much better position to pick the right path for your project.
So, how do you actually compare them? When it really comes down to it, what are the core differences that should be driving your decision?
This table right here lays it all out. Look, if you need high cost and time certainty right from day one, traditional and design and build are your best bets. The main difference? It's all about who holds that design risk. With traditional, it's the client. With design and build, you pass it to the contractor. Now, on the other hand, if you need to get started fast and you can live with some uncertainty up front, the management routes are your friend. But just know you're the one holding the risk on cost and time.
So the main takeaway here is that there is no single best method. It doesn't exist. The right path depends completely on what you care about most. If certainty and control are everything, you go traditional. If you just want to get that design liability off your plate, you go with design and build. And if speed is the name of the game, a management-led route is probably your answer.
And really, it all comes down to this one simple question. Your choice of procurement route is a choice about which risks you are most comfortable owning yourself. If you can answer that question honestly, you'll know exactly which strategy is right for you.